can't debate the radical left with Matt Fradick, the Pints and Aquinas guy.
What would have happened if you had have spoken up? Like if somebody had have, if you had said, actually, I'm not really going to vote Democrat. Or when someone said, I don't hang out with white people, if you had went, that kind of sounds a bit racist. I mean, people don't like to be challenged at all. People tend to react negatively to being challenged, especially in...
How can the conservatives say people don't like to be challenged at all? People don't like it when you challenge them with like made up shit in your head, where they're like, well, you can't do that because of a God I believe in that I can't prove. Huh? Is that a reasonable critique, my dude?
In public.
You know,
but did you have any kind of private conversations with people who held
Why is he staring at the fucking camera saying this?
different views that were open?
yes, but not as an open conservative.
Okay, so you kind of hid that.
Yeah, I was like, I asked questions.
Mm-hmm.
So this one, I won't say the person's name because I'm contractually obligated not to.
Okay.
But I worked with a brother of one of the biggest stars in the world, and we're putting together this a script for a movie, and we worked together for like 5 years on this. And in I think it was the midterms, it was 2016 actually. They hosted a whole a props party where you come and we read the props and see what's this, that, and the other. And one of them was a bathroom thing, like we let the assigned, well, what if somebody believes they are going to the bathroom and stuff like that. And I remember asking, I was like, how do we know that they actually are truly what they say they are? Like, why would we just give them access like that?
Could I just say that right now? And could I be allowed?
And his wife, her reaction was the same reaction that I saw. Because one of the things about being an actor, at least for myself, is I recognize patterns really quickly, right?
Is this guy an actor? Siaka Massaquoi? Pretentious pipe. He loves his pretentious pipe. Are we talking about going to the bathroom? Why are you worried about that? I don't care. It's Diddy. The famous person he was working with was Diddy.
Right, it's like, memorizing lines and kind of seeing how the rhythm of a scene should play out. And so I recognized the way she responded was exactly the same way people responded about when there was a pushback against the gay push that was happening in the 90s. Like,
because you're just doing homophobia again. Remember the gay push?
You sure your kid's gay? Oh, he's born that way. They know it in their souls. And How dare you even question? She literally went the same way, and I'm like,
but yeah. Well, I don't know. You can ask questions in good faith. It's whatever. You can be curious, but you're not doing that, right? Like, not necessarily.
Interesting.
It pulled me back, and I'm like, well, all I'm saying is there should be something that we should know better. And she's like, I mean, I've spoken to these kids, and they're crying, and I'm like, oh, okay, like, like what is that? I'm like, what? Why does that matter? You know? But just the reaction.
Why do kids being depressed matter? I guess a conservative would have that take, huh?
I'm like, we can't have
seem like a rational reaction.
Exactly. And so I saw also instantaneously I knew thumbs up.
Dude, a lot of conservatives or people who are conservatives are like, I had an interaction with a person that I didn't like, so I'm a conservative. Which is them, of course, saying rational things. Yeah. Sitting down, talking with the God believers, their rationality.
Someone was up in that. And with that same guy, do you remember the Covington Catholic kid, right? That made a big thing.
Them.
And God bless them.
I remember watching that and finding out.
One kid in particular.
Right? And he was standing there and he had this smirk, it wasn't
a smirk,
actually.
Like everybody, when I saw that, when I first saw that, well, here's what's funny. You get lied to enough by the mainstream media, and you just start to doubt everything, no matter how it looks.
Exactly.
Yeah, doubt everything. Stares right into the camera, which is super weird. You doubt everything except the stuff that you believe, right? Yeah. Have you ever levied any doubt? Like, should I want evidence for the stuff I believe? Nah, I'm good. I'm going to go on vibes.
I think certainly after that experience, because he looked like a smug jerk when they framed it the way that they did, when they cut it the way that they did. You're like, oh, wow, okay. And then as somebody who, doesn't want to be racist, you're like, okay, well, this is something I can get really on board with. I didn't do this, but you could see why people
how you
would
can
fall
accept
into
it. You go, I see it. But then when they backed it up and the whole thing, and you're seeing this kid,
he was terrific. He was stoic.
That was an example. I didn't know at the time. That was a Christ-like example where he stood there, and there was a moment. If you go back,
Christ,
watch it, where he almost broke,
Really?
and it almost broke him. You see him, he's like, and I saw his quiver like it was about to, and he just,
God bless him.
And I was like, whoa,
what a man.
And so,
what a man.
That guy I was talking about, he's like, like these Covington Catholic kid wearing the MAGA hats, and they're just this, that, and the other. And I'm like, and this guy has a son who was, I think, 20-some at the time. I go, yeah, but that was just a kid, man. A kid's like 17.
Now, at this point, did you realize that he was the victim in this?
Oh yeah, because I'd already voted for Trump, and I was hearing how people were talking. I was like, these people.
I'm already on the team, so I decide based on the team what I believe. It's crazy. Like victim of what? I don't know. They were there in counter protest,
trying to nudge people without going all in.
Yeah, about being like, are we really thinking about this properly?
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm like, that's a 17-year-old kid. I'm like, well, if that was your 17-year-old kid, would you think the same thing? He's like, well, he wouldn't do that. I'm like, but he's a kid. How come no one's talking about the grown adult getting in his face with like a stick and a drum?
A stick in it. He was there already doing that shit. The kids came up to that.
He's like, man, and he said this to me, and I'll never forget. He goes, man, because initially he started off of how he was feeling just bothered by what happened. He goes, this isn't helping me feel better right now. And I'm like,
maybe it's not about you.
Yeah, I was like, don't you want to know the whole story? Like, why would you just want to know? Because let's talk about something else. And I was like, wow. Like, I'm like, wow, we can't have a conversation. Like, it's just there. Like, you're just in that space. Like, can't be anything else.
I'll have a conversation. I'll do it.
You can't put your son, you're 7. Remember when you were 17?
Yeah. Remember the stupid things you did?
Right? And then to be whatever the situation is.
Remember when you were 17, the stupid things you did? Remember having empathy for children unless they're queer in any way, right? Remember how you knew who you were when you were a kid and you had confidence and you knew that you were, you knew you liked girls and you knew that you were real cisgender and you had a lot of confidence, Is there any other kind of format that you think people might be? Like, it's so weird how much they fucking project onto other people. Like, no, everyone thinks like I do. It's fucking crazy, dude.
To me, in my belief, outside of...
And it's crazy. It's doubly crazy because they're like, no, we use skepticism and fucking rationality. Dog, you believe in demons.
Physically beating down some old homeless guy, that scenario for you put more onus on the adult. You have
beating down an old homeless guy. What, fucking, I bet he's a Daniel Penny supporter.
Too. That's a kid. You teach him. You don't sit there and berate him. You don't sit there and plaster him everywhere and say he's the face of hatred in America. Like, what? It's a 17-year-old kid who was like, you could tell, like, he hasn't even, his whiskers weren't even coming in, his cheeks were getting red. You could see it. Like, what are we doing? Like, what? It just really bothered me that this is where we went.
This is where we went. These motherfuckers making content about like Tim Walz's fucking kids and stuff, Kamala's kids. None of that's off fucking limits.
As a country, that we were going to pile on top of a child.
Right.
Like, what?
A child. Shut the fuck up. You are fucking clutching your pearls.
What? And any type of conversation with someone was like, I'm not comfortable with this anymore. And I'm like, oh, wow. Something.
I know this is a common phrase now. The first time I heard it was from Rogan when he talked about this phrase, ideologically captured.
Mm-hmm. That's unfortunately what happens.
What do you think that means? I mean, I know it speaks for itself, but...
I mean, it means that when people get into that, and I think it works in a few different ways. Like,
it's cult-like. I mean,
it's very cult-like.
The word cult is often used as a...
It's cult-like. You're in a religion! These fucking people. It's projection, man. You're in a religion. This shit's called Pints with Aquinas. How are you pretending? How are you going to pretend? This is the same shit they always do. Every accusation is a fucking admission. They're not self-aware. It's crazy. I'm in a cult because I don't like Donald Trump? Huh? I don't like Kamala Harris either, man. Are you in a cult for not liking Kamala Harris? Why don't you like Kamala Harris? And the things they're going to list are going to be fucking crazy. She doesn't even know if she's black or Indian. First things out of their fucking faces. I'm real normal. Like, dog, what about, like, genocide or something? Funding genocide? That's my thing.
Four-letter pejorative. You know, people throw that word around far too often. They'll say things like, Mormonism is a cult. It's like, no, I mean, tell me what a cult means. Because if all you...
No, Mormonism isn't a cult. Dude, the only reason you don't think Mormonism is a cult is because you are in something that looks very similar to that structure. Like, buddy. They have magic underwear. They have isolation mechanisms. Does he think Scientology is a cult? I would say Scientology is another step past Mormonism. They have rituals. They have secret rituals. Like, have you ever spoken to a Mormon? It's very similar to being a high-level Catholic.
What you're doing is disparaging religion by...
Yes.
Give me a concrete definition. I think part of it is just
a concrete definition of what a cult is. What's the definition of a cult? A group of people who practice unusual or extreme religious, spiritual, or philosophical. I mean, really, it seems like a cult seems like a religious term for people that are religious outside of mainstream religion. But I think a cult is something where a congregation of people, you know, it just has to be like fucking 3 or more, really, maybe even 2. Can 2 people be a cult? You don't necessarily have to have a leader, but there is a hierarchy, almost always, and magical thinking involved. Non-logical, supernatural thinking almost always. And like a group of people that do extreme fucking like religious belief, isolation from others. I think cult is more like where you have to like meet certain criteria, and I would count every Christian fucking church as a cult, but they don't, because they're of course the accepted cult.
a complete unwillingness to consider another view, to consider maybe all views as apart from your own, that differ from your own in any way evil, very insular.
Man, it's not. I don't think every viewpoint other than my own is evil. I think evil viewpoints are evil. You know? It just so happens that Christians have lots and lots and lots of evil viewpoints. Like, that's your fault.
Maybe having some kind of overlords that but you also can't question.
Like God? Huh? An overlord you can't question like your God? Buddy. Do you think you could go to the top of the Catholic Church and question the fucking Pope? Like Trump? Yeah, no shit. Cult of personality? Like, get fucking real, bro. You are actually in denial. Like, the Pints with Aquinas guy is 100% in denial of his own reality. As he smokes his little pipe. The way that they LARP manhood with the pipe and with the cigar, they sit across from a wooden table with the podcast, and they say we have to. Is this Stephen Fry dressed as a cardinal, by the way? It's not. Very silly stuff. He came with a rolling. He rolls his pipe in leather. He has the brown liquor. They can't help it. They have to adhere to aspects of manhood. You can like all these things genuinely, but it is quite unlikely that you are a man who likes all these things genuinely. It is often you like that they bestow upon you some kind of access to masculinity and the aesthetic of masculinity, right? We got to get out of our own shit. It's never going to happen. I mean, humans are just too complex and shitty. We're never going to have a good society. It's over. Good societies are a thing of the past, okay? And really, it's never happened. The best societies of all time have all been shitty.
Also, that part. It can't be questioned at all.
It can totally be questioned. Like, your questions about trans bathrooms and stuff, I'm happy to discuss it with you. Like, why are you made uncomfortable by a woman coming to the bathroom with you? And like the only thing that you can say is, what if I wasn't a safe man? You know what I mean?
That's what makes it a cult.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
Because I
The lack of questioning what?
I love when people want to question Christianity. I'm like, let's go. I'm ready. I feel like I'm a lot more armed, armor of God on.
And you can consider.
Got the armor of God on. Why did God create sin? I love asking questions like this to Christians because they all run from it. I haven't met a Christian that's willing to admit that God created sin and the capacity for men to sin. They always run from it. They'll say free will is good, and I say, okay, but do you need the capacity for rape to have free will? So sinning isn't free will. God did not have to create us with these specific ways. Like, for instance, sexual reproduction. If you don't make humans reproduce sexually, which you do not have to do, obviously in nature, we don't have to have it. You could just have sex as pleasure or a different thing, a thing that doesn't involve rape as an option. But he was just too uncreative to do so? No, it seems like you have to agree that God created sin and evil, and that is a feature of God and the universe he creates. And you have to argue why that's good. Like, for variety. Because I think we could do stuff that had lots of variety without evil. You know what I mean? There's no reason to allow evil to be in our brains. Like, this is a product of evolution, which is a careless, thoughtless thing, and we're just animals trying to fucking survive, and we've been on generations of we have to fight each other for scraps to live, and so that's where we're at. Meaning he's not omnibenevolent. I mean, literally all you have to do is agree that God is either not omniscient, omnipotent, or omnibenevolent. And then you can get out of some of these problems, but then you have, like, you know, obviously that has other problems down the line of the claims of Christianity. So, which is why I like to ask the question, are you questioning the mega secret but super divine and ultra smart plan? Well, I'm not allowed to question it, apparently.
Other people's worldviews,
I consider in a place like this, I'm a little more...
How old's the earth?
Say a lot more rigid now because I live that in that secular darkness. I lived it hard.
Yeah.
I lived it
But
hard.
you could probably,
I can hear where they're coming from.
No, but here's what I'm saying. You could articulate
Secular
their position
darkness.
maybe even better than they could,
yeah.
which is a sign that you have kind of
Yes.
gotten inside of that worldview. Like, I think I could probably do a good job explaining why I'm an atheist in a kind of acting sort of way.
Yeah.
Same thing with being maybe a Protestant who are
Could you?
obviously a lot closer to Catholic.
I don't think you could. Why make your strongest argument on behalf of atheism?
Or, you know, I could get inside the head.
Yeah, he's staring at the camera instead of the person he's talking to, which is really irritating to me.
In a way that I think the Protestant, atheist, Muslim, whoever could kind of respect that I'm trying to understand where they're coming from, even if they would correct me here and there.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like maybe when you're ideologically captured, you're incapable of even doing that because the other person is just wholly evil.
Well, because that's it. That's it right there. Yeah. That's the difference. The difference is, and I did a post on...
I don't think Christians are wholly evil. I think to the degree you are a Christian makes you more likely to do bad things or dismiss them. And also, not just do bad things, but think that bad things are good things. Like not letting gay people get married or trans kids exist or, you know, people have sex with who they want.
On this on X, I'm like, the difference that I've seen between Republicans and Democrats is that Republicans think Democrats are people with bad ideas. Democrats think Republicans are just bad people with ideas.
So a lot of Republicans are people that do so out of spite. Yeah, absolutely. Like a lot of Democrats are dumbasses. Like if you say I'm a Democrat, you're probably a dumbass. You know what I mean? You're probably a wealthy dumbass also. To self-identify as a Democrat. But Republicans typically do a lot of things out of spite and ignorance. And that's by design. Like, and, you know, you feel like you're fucking enlightened or whatever, which is hilarious. So you can kind of have this, like, Dunning-Kruger type shit on this kind of podcast. It's crazy. Because you can have, like, individual wisdoms and, like, life experience and come across as a person who knows stuff about things from time to time. Like, sure. But, like, you're not going to have answers to big stuff at all because you have thought-defeating processes in your brain due to your religious thinking. Like you don't think on an evidentiarily based like logic. You can go on faith. It's crazy. That's an insane thing to do. To be like, okay, yeah, these are my ethics because I believe a creator God exists without evidence. I've decided my ethics based on a thing that I can't prove exists. Bonkers. Totally fucking bonkers.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true because I think that there's a lot of Republicans right now who are writing off Democrats as essentially possessed somehow.
Well, I'll tell you like this.
Let me just
wrap
it up by saying, like, obviously there are wicked ideas on both platforms. I voted for Trump. I was happy to vote for him. Thrilled that he got elected. Don't get me wrong.
Are you going to get deported? Because this guy doesn't sound like he's from here. How is this not going to... He better get deported.
But I wouldn't say it's that clean cut. I've heard people say that before, but I can see Republicans... let me put it this way. I can see the pendulum swinging. So you've been called evil and racist and Hitler for so long, and you've just done your best to try to navigate this space. I think we got to be on guard against now not falling into the same error we believe our Democratic friends have by then demonizing everybody on the other side.
I guess I'm going off my experience, and Hollywood is a extreme version of, because they're the propaganda arm of the Democratic
woke
Party.
On steroids. Yeah, so whatever woke I've experienced, probably nothing like what you've walked through. Yeah.
I mean, I heard one guy of that play I was doing that got canceled. He was talking to the director, gay man, and he goes, "Man, I'd love to punch a Nazi." I'm just like, what? Like,
yeah, let's fucking go.
What are you talking about, dude? I'm like, this is the gay guy in the comfortable LA saying this stuff that if he was ever really around a Nazi and outnumbered, he wouldn't do anything. And that's the mentality. That's how they move like that. And again,
no, that's a good point.
I
don't understand what point he's trying to make. Do you not think Nazis should be punched? They would think you should be more than punched, personally. Like a Nazi would definitely have less charitable things to say about you, but I guess you're chosen by them.
I've never encountered. Yeah, this is like, you know how people talk about like living your truth and whatever the hell that means, but like
living your truth and whatever the hell that means. It means live genuinely to whatever makes you happy, man. That's what it means. Which, of course, as a Christian is impossible, right? Because as a Christian, you're prescribed ways to live that are unlike yourself. Live your life how you want to live it. If it includes having pretentious leather-wrapped bongs like me, then do that, you know?
You, as a black man in America, have an experience of America that I don't, like as an Australian immigrant white guy in America, right? Okay, well, let me give you my experience if we're supposed to be given our experiences.
Right.
I'm a conservative Christian. I run circles mostly with white conservative Christians. I have never once had somebody use the N-word in front of me in a disparaging way.
No, that is a fucking lie. Are you kidding me? You've been around white people privately, and not one time have you heard them say a racial slur? You fucking lying. I have only heard racial slurs slung around like that in conservative white spaces. Never. That's crazy. What? That's a lie. Any white person that's being honest with you, if you ask, hey, you have any like, are white people racist behind closed doors? 1,000,000%. Oh yeah. And a lot of times they don't even know they're being racist. He said it in a disparaging way. Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Like who speak badly about that just has not happened to me.
I've been called nigger a lot, and it's mostly by black men. So as they're sitting there warning me that it may come out of your mouth, that's not where it came from, fully.
Oh my God, what a pick me. That's not the same. They are not using it the same way. You know that too. That's crazy. Shut the fuck up. Oh my God. By the way, it's 100% fine if you're like, hey, I don't really like it when people call me that. That's fine. Those leopards won't eat his face. Oh my God. Racism is so prevalent in Australia openly, I doubt he'd look twice when something racist did happen. Oh yeah. Racism is open here all the time. It has been our whole lives. It's not even sneaky a little bit. We just have openly racist government and shit sometimes. We had full-on slavery for my mom was 10 years old when black people got the Civil Rights Act passed. You know? She was alive when MLK got shot. What the fuck? We are not out of this shit. Donald Trump is older than civil rights. Do you think he has an opinion about civil rights that could be maybe less progressive than us who grew up under civil rights? This is a massive problem in general. Is like the normalization of racism, and they're talking about, oh, no one likes to get challenged. The whole time they were bitching about being challenged. The whole time. Oh, they call everyone racist. You're being racist, dog. It is what it is. That's enough. That's enough of that. It's over. It's done. Go. Donald Trump is older than Ruby Bridges, the little girl who had to be escorted by the National Guard so she could attend school when segregation was ended.